Okay, it dried out enough that I can come up here and get this door installed. I put the door inside with the tanks last night before the storm came in. And we got a good bunch of rain up here. We needed it really bad. But I need to get this door on and get it sealed up before it gets a whole lot colder. It's time to get the underground water tank shed wrapped up for good, and one of the last things that I've got to do is get this new front door hung and then some weather stripping put around the door, and if needed, I will seal any cracks that I can find in the door with a polyurethane caulking, and then at that point, that place might be warmer than our house. By building the front door out of these old 2x4s, it should be just thick enough to keep the heat in. If all goes well, this door won't be open more than maybe 3 or 4 times a year, so it isn't so much about functionality as it is about performance. And by putting that weather stripping around the outside, the hope is that the door will not only keep the cold out, but anything else that might have an interest in getting in there as well. Like bugs, rodents, pests, raccoons, skunks, cows, goats, or kids. I believe that door will keep all of those things out. I said this before, but the hard part is done as far as the underground water tank shed is concerned. I still want to throw some grass seed out there and do a little bit of landscaping as well as cleanup, but bring on the rain or the snow or any other weather for that matter, because I think we're good. I still intend on taking the rough sawn 1x12 and putting some board and batten siding around the outside. And I will also install the rain gutter and then a welcome mat, and we're done. It's far from perfect, but it's perfect. It's heavy duty. It's not going anywhere. It's going to hold the heat in. I'm going to take some spray foam and go around the outside. And then tomorrow morning, I'm going to rip one of these 2x4s and use the strips to create a weather-tight seal around that door. And then everything else is basically cosmetic from that point on. So I'm going to put the spray foam on real quick. My wife Cedar and my son Rhett wanted to come up and see what I've been working on, so I brought them up. Ruby, let's go for a ride. Let's go for a ride, Ruby. I built you a bedroom up here.
What are you going to do for siding? That's so cool.
I'm going to do the board and batten. I need to put a rain gutter across the front. I'm going to do board and batten siding just like the...
Like the house?
Just like the house. If water ever gets down there, it's supposed to come out here. Okay, hang on. Let me turn on the light.
How many cans of this stuff did you use?
I'm on probably 15.
Can you go back behind there?
Right here is where as far as you can go.
Oh, so it's right up against that.
I'm going to build a little box around the plumbing and insulate that too. But this is the shutoffs. If you ever have to... What's that?
You need like a floor, like...
Just a box to cover the pipes with insulation. I probably don't need to do it, but I'm going to just kind of build a little, one last little safety.
By this door, you probably should.
Just to be safe. And then I have weather stripping for this door that I'm going to put in.
Are you going to put insulation on that door too?
No, it's thick enough. I think it'll be okay. Because now we're utilizing the constant temperature of the earth. But I'm still going to insulate these pipes, and just to be safe, I'm going to come back and clean up some of the spray foam. Went a little haywire, looks like. What do you think?
That's sweet. I want to build something like this now.
To live in?
Yeah, to live in, seriously. Maybe I'll do it on the new property, just don't tell you about it.
Well, the problem is I told Callie and Reed that I would build them a little, what are those things called?
Hobbit hole?
Hobbit house.
Well, I think this is cooler than a Hobbit house because it's like...
Well, but this is functional. I actually need it.
I don't know if there's any more railroad ties left. I think you took them all.
I put a dent in the local ones, that's for sure. I almost did the sod roof on it. I thought it'd be fun.
That would be awesome.
But
plant poppies up there.
But I worry, we're so inconsistent with the summer rains that I worried that it would just all be gray and or be dead and everything. But in a ravine, I think it was up like by Idaho Falls or somewhere, but there's still to this day some little area that's a homeless encampment, and they all live in dugouts, and they dig holes into the side of the I think it's still there.
Uh-oh.
Well, here comes Ruben.
Hi, Rube.
Bandit.
You better stay here.
Ooh, Bandit's up here.
Yeah, Bandit's up here.
Now need to load all of this up in the trailer, take it to town to the scrapyard where it can be recycled, unload the trailer. Then I need to get the trailer back up here and parked over on the new property where I can be loading all of the firewood that I've been cutting down over there. I need to get that loaded into the trailer and get it over here where it can be split and stacked. We have a storm coming in a couple of days that I am fairly confident is going to guarantee that we have a fire this week. So now we're back to burning wood. But I'm going to be working out in the shop, getting the shop finished up here shortly, and I'm going to want to be able to have fires out there. So I need all the firewood that I can get. Step one is to get this all loaded up in the trailer. Because I don't have my excavator at my beck and call, I get to cut this old truck bed up into bite-sized pieces so I can haul it off, then empty out the trailer, then get the trailer to load some firewood into. We probably have close to what we're going to need for the house, but we don't have enough firewood for the shop. If I'm going to get serious about finishing up that shop this year, that means I'm probably going to have to do a little bit of drywall, which means I have to keep the shop warm, which means I need lots of firewood. Maple will burn when it's slightly green, but it's not fun to use. And the more seasoned my wood is, the less wood I have to use to keep warm. So I need to get that wood split where it can be drying, and then stacked on the firewood pile right here by the shop. Last year during winter, my son hit some ice and he rolled his favorite truck over. But thank goodness, nothing but his pride was hurt in the process. I bought the truck from him because the drivetrain was still good and I wanted to help him get another truck. But I knew I could put that drivetrain into a number of different vehicles and it would work perfectly as our plow truck. A manual transmission and a very torquey diesel engine with a good heavy-duty frame and axles around it should do the job fine. But before I swap the good engine and transmission into the other truck body, I need to know for sure that the engine and the transmission both are in good working order, and I also don't want them leaking anything. All right, now rather than taking the uncut firewood over to the house and basically making a mess over there, I'm gonna bucket up right here, throw it into the trailer. As the trailer gets more and more full, I'm gonna kind of make a loop and get all the firewood and hopefully get it back down there to the house. And then from that point on, because it's all fairly green maple, I need to get it split so it can be drying. That way, by the time we need it, it's plenty dry. So now I get to run back over to the house and get my chainsaw and all my equipment. Okay, this is the new tractor battery. Needs to go in there. The battery went bad that was in the tractor, and I grabbed the battery out of Rhett's truck just to kind of move the tractor around as I need to. Now I need the battery in Rhett's truck, and I've been waiting for this battery to show up. Incredibly, I'm trying to think of the words to say here. $200 for a battery that used to be about 115 bucks. So anyway, the good old days are looking better and better. I thought it was going to rain all day today, so once I get this swapped out, I'm going to dive back into Rhett's truck, but all of a sudden it's starting to circle a little bit, so we'll see how far I get. But I need to put the radiator in Rhett's truck, I need to put a new fan clutch, a few things, and then I can really run the truck and make sure there's no heating issues or anything else that needs attention before I swap the drivetrain into the new truck. One of the best things that possibly could have happened to me as I was growing up was I learned to use my hands. And by using my hands, I developed common sense. Sometimes that was a painful process, but either way, it worked. Now, many years later, the process is still happening, and I continue to thoroughly enjoy creating things with my hands. Taking something like this old wrecked piece of junk truck and turning it into something usable is one of my favorite things to do. Because I have found that with a little bit of sweat equity, the end result is almost always something that's more valuable than it was in the beginning. And while not everything is about value, it's still pretty dang important. They're noisy motors, but they're durable and so dependable. And then not only that, they start in the cold better than any diesel I've ever owned. So, okay, we're gonna pull the timing gear cover off, and then we're gonna inspect to see if the killer dowel pin was ever done on this. But I could see oil was leaking out of the bottom of this crank seal. I'm not gonna do the back seal. I'm only gonna do this front seal because it's quite a bit more to pull the injection pump and to pull the crank, obviously, to do that other seal. But I feel confident that the actual cover seal and the crank seal was probably part of the problem. And I can also see that the dipstick is cracked, and that leaks a little bit of oil up there too. So, all right, let's see what we got. Okay. So, the killer dowel pin has not been done, and that's the furthest out I have ever seen that dowel pin rattle out. I have never seen that steel dowel rattle out that far. So what eventually happens is that little steel dowel will fall down between the gears and it cracks the aluminum timing covers. So I've never seen the dowel pin come out anywhere near that far. They usually don't move around a whole lot. Every motor I've ever checked, I've never had one anywhere near this close to coming out, and this motor has about 250,000 miles on it. So it's a good thing we pulled this thing apart and looked it over. So I'm guessing this is where it was leaking from. This seal has been replaced, and if you look at it, you can see the seal is deeper in one side than the other. You can see the lip is damaged, and that seal's right there around the head of the crank. So I'm gonna push that seal out real quick, clean that up, I'm gonna inspect and make sure that the actual timing cover wasn't damaged. And then there's a special way to do this. It actually comes with a special seal to get the lips facing the right direction that gets it over that crank properly. And that was not done right. So I can almost guarantee that's where all the oil was coming from. So I'm gonna fix that leak. I'm gonna put the new seal around the outside, put the timing cover back on, tighten everything up. I may, once I pull the motor out, I'm probably gonna do the oil pan gasket as well, just to be safe. But that is the most common place that these things like to leak, and it's obvious that seal was installed poorly. So. When I was about 16, I picked up a 1965 Volkswagen Bug that was basically stock. I would lower that Bug, I would customize that Bug, I would do the things that I thought that Bug needed, and then when I was done with that Bug, I would sell the Bug for more money than I spent to make it look the way that it did. So I learned that having the skills to work on my vehicles was definitely worth my time. But I learned to love it, especially when you don't have to work on your car, but you get to. Again, working with my hands taught me common sense. As a father of 5 kids, one of my greatest fears is sending one of my kids out in the world without enough common sense. Because kids without common sense either get hurt or they hurt other people's kids. One of the things that I regularly try to do with both my young kids and my older kids is help them exercise their common sense. On our next video, we're going to finish up the underground bunker. We're going to put some siding on it, and we're going to start the process of pulling the drivetrain out of this old wrecked truck and getting it into the new truck. We wanted to say thank you for taking time to watch our videos, and we will see you in a few days. All right, I did a little custom hot rod in here and relocated the battery up here. Filled up the radiator, checked all the fluids, topped off the engine. It needed a little bit, not much. Tightened all the intercooler boots up, tightened the radiator hoses up. Again, like I said, filled the radiator, and I hope I have a good enough connection to get it to fire off. But if it's going to fire off now, I'm going to let it run for a little while and get warm and then inspect for leaks. over there. Okay. Cedar and our oldest daughter Sage are working on our shop in there, and I'm smoking them out with the exhaust. So I'm going to shut it off for now, but nothing is leaking. I think we're good, but I do want to warm it up more. I don't even think the thermostat opened right there. But next step is to either pull the cab off or to start the process of pulling the drivetrain out and get ready to swap it into the new truck. Although before I do that, I've got to get the mount for the snowplow fabricated first before I put the engine in. So